It seems like there were different groups that were divided. It was subdivided into various groups, and each group was supposed to take a certain perimeter, and it was drawn out on a map somewhere.
What strategies were talked about in terms of what strategy might be employed in order to do that?
Forming of groups to look out for each other's interests, and the conglomeration of groups into various areas, more or less. I mean, different groups joined together in different formations to end up in different streets. Like this isn't one group, but rather a multitude of different groups, and just independent people like myself who just came here, felt strongly about this.
And have you ever been arrested before?
Never. This might be the first time.
It'll probably definitely be the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is that all? You don't even have anything else?
So they won't either. We don't have a vote. So they won't either. We don't have a vote. So they won't either. We don't have a vote. So they won't either. We don't have a vote. So they won't either. We don't have a vote. So they won't either. We don't have a vote. So they won't either. We don't have
What's your name and what brought you down here? Where are you from?
My name's Kale Shannon, and I'm a native of Seattle, Washington, and basically I was down here to shut the WTO down, to send a message that, you know, what you guys are doing is wrong, and you need to back off. And
what in particular that they're doing? What specific thing is most bothering you?
Well, I think by their actions, you know, around third world issues, and this country itself, it's caused a lot of division among people of color, among workers of color, and because of that, you know, look, if you look around, you don't see many African Americans out here, and that's sad because, you know, communities of color are not very visible out here, and their thing is, you know, why should I be out here? I don't care about the immigrant community, and because of the way that they've done things within the system, WTO, it's really divisive, and we can't bring workers together, and you know, there should be. Yeah. You know, there should be people of color all over this damn.
Because they get us all fighting over the little scraps that they hand out.
And that's what, you know, so that's one reason why I'm down here. Yeah. Is because of that.
And we saw you earlier, you know, like trying to help out between the police and the crowd. What do you see as your role in the demonstration? What are you trying to do?
Well, I don't officially have a role. I mean, I'm part of a team, but my concern was that I didn't want the police to beat us up. And that was my worst concern, is that you know, before we left, we said that this was going to be a non-violence protest, and I was concerned that, you know, a lot of these kids out here don't know what it's like to get their ass kicked by the police, and I think there would have been some serious damage. You know, some people are pissed off at me for making that move, but I don't regret doing that, because if the crowd had to charge the police, I would have been in the middle, and I didn't want to get hurt. So I mean, that's why, you know, I made that decision, and I felt, you know, being part of the tactical team, that was part of my job. You know, and I
keeping the crowd safe.
Yeah, keeping the crowd. That's basically what I was trying to do. You know, just making sure that people were safe.
Okay.
So.
If you had one message to say to the trade ministers in there, if you had one thing, if you had a shot at saying something to one of them or a group of them, what would you say to them?
I would say to them that they know what they're doing is wrong, and they need to start doing right by the people. You know, we need to be in there. We need to be in there at the table. I mean, how can they talk about what is good for us when they're not out here on the street? They don't know what, you know, they don't know what a poor person goes through. You know what indigenous people go through. I mean, how can you, it's like, how can you speak for me? You don't know what the hell I'm going through. You don't know what it's like. I mean, how can you, we need to be in there. And they're not allowing it. So that's what I would say.
That's great. Okay,
cool.
Thanks a lot.
Can I keep this by you?
My name's Asphalt. I'm from Riverside, California.
What's the most specific issue that's brought you out here? There's a lot of issues about the WTO and what they're doing, but specifically for you, what's compelling you to participate in this lockdown?
What's really compelling me for, well, food is a necessary of life, not a profit, and capitalism is slavery, and it needs to end. With the corporations that we have going on, it's just enslaving the people more. With the way that the state of the economy is going, the corporations wants to go into other countries that don't have strict labor laws and stuff like that. So you got people that are being raped, that are just treated really awful. They're denied bathroom rights when they're working. They're working long hours. It's like the Nike's corporations. It only costs a couple of dollars to make the shoes, and yet they're charging $100, and the workers are getting like 20 cents an hour. So yeah, it's pretty much everything. I mean, this whole thing about the free trade is not true at all. I know it's such a broad issue. It's hard to focus on one type of issue. It affects everybody. It affects the earth. It affects all of life. I mean, we cannot go. I mean, corporations are not necessary. We need communities, not capital.
How long do you anticipate being locked down?
Whatever it takes. So far we're shutting it down, which is really good. This is really going to have a really good impact on us. It's going to help save the forest. It's going to help save it all. I mean, it's not necessary for us to make all these products when we really don't need it in life, when all we need is just each other.
How many delegates do you think you've turned away so far?
We turned away about 4 delegates or 5 delegates.
And do you anticipate the authorities using things like paint compliance? Or are you
originally, I was drawn in by the environmental issues, which are just a mass of different.
Which environmental issues in particular?
The free logging agreement was rather upsetting, but now I'm getting pretty involved with the biotech engineering, and that's something that affects everyone. And I don't know, I'm not really interested in poisoning myself every time I go to the grocery store to buy some food. So that's one of the main issues that I'm focusing on and something I want to do about.
What WTO policies are there that are directly affecting the bioengineering industry and like that?
Well, there's a corporation called Monsanto. It's well talked about in WTO resistance circles, and through that corporation, other ones, there's been a lot of WTO support for companies like Monsanto that make genetically engineered food, and there's been a large resistance in Europe to genetically engineered food, and the WTO has pretty much claimed that resistance to genetically engineered food is illegal. And I mean, people just saying we want to know what we're eating, that's illegal. It's ridiculous, basically.
How long do you expect to be locked down for today?
We're not leaving till the WTO leaves.
And do you expect to have to deal with like pain compliance or tear gas, or what are you prepared for?
We've been well informed and gone through precautions for tear gas, pepper spray, pain compliances, and everyone's playing and holding out as long as they can.
What's the sort of, if you could give a breakdown of like the various tactics and the sort of overall strategy for blockading and stopping and shutting down this, maybe this specific blockading, but also like how it sort of what the overall strategy and plan was.
Well, basically, the city has been divided up into, I think, 12 different sections, or maybe more or less. I'm not certain on that number, but and there are people circling the convention center, and like we're specifically focused on the Paramount, and so by circling the entire city within these 12 different sections and having people specifically responsible for those sections, we're preventing from the people going to the convention.
How many delegates do you think you've turned away today?
This group, I have a pretty limited view, so I can only see from this side. And I don't know, there's been quite a few charges, and then a lot less timid people. And then other people just see this and walk the other way. But like this woman, looks like she's coming in and having a conversation with people, but...
Yeah, I can tell you from my perspective, there's been about 5 or 6 turned away since I've been here. Yeah. So it's going well.
Yeah.
Do you think what kind of effect do you think that this will have on the talks and on the future of the WTO, or what do you hope and what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I guess they could just pretend that this isn't happening, and I don't know if they do eventually meet together. But it seems like this would be a pretty pertinent conversation topic in their groups, and I think the big hope is that people will ask, or the delegates will ask, okay, why are these people willing to lie their bodies across the street to stop them from coming and making these decisions?
That's great.
All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. It's pretty good. So, yeah, got these nice little props.
Are you getting sore?
Not really. I mean, when the polling gets going, it's kind of intense, but you know, it's all right. And what I keep in my mind is all the people who are suffering over the Zapatistas, for example, who this is their life every day. They're getting killed. And here we are, oh, maybe we'll get pepper sprayed, maybe we won't, but our lives aren't at stake as far as we know. With media coverage, probably not.
Thank you. It's not in focus though.
I think the